Hey seniors, today we're going to transition from solving systems of equations and start talking about unit rates. Some of this is going to be reviewed from 7th grade, so just bear with me. But this should be a pretty simple lesson for us, so let's just go ahead and start killing. On your notes page, go ahead and draw your line. Go ahead and write unit rates in the top left-hand corner. So when we're talking about unit rates, we're talking about proportionality. And proportionality essentially means as x increases by 1, y will increase by the exact same amount every single time. Go ahead, pause the video if you need to, write that in your notes page. All right, so let's remind ourselves what unit rate is. Unit rate is where x is 1 on a graph, y represents your unit rate. Go ahead and write that in your notes page as well. So today we're going to be working with graphs and tables and trying to figure out, are the tables proportional, and what is the graph's unit rate, and is the graph proportional to one another? So today is all about relationships. So this is just a little tidbit. When determining if a table is proportional, find the slope and ask yourself, does y increase by the same amount as x increases by 1? Let's go ahead and jump into an example. All right, so is the following scenario proportional? I'm interested in if hours and apples are proportional. So let's say Diamante, he eats a lot. Let's say he decides that he wants to sit down and eat a whole bunch of apples. And for every 1 hour, he can eat 3 apples. Let's see if that rate increases as the table goes. The best way to figure out if this relationship of hours to apples is proportional is to just find the slope between our numbers. And slope can be found by finding the change in x over, change in y over change in x. So what I'm going to do is just find the difference between the y values and the x values and divide them together and figure out my slope. So hours will be my x value. Whoops, need my pen back. Hours will be my x value, and apples will be my y value. Go ahead and draw this table. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful table in the world, but you do need to go ahead and draw it. So again, I want to find change in y over change in x. Oops, let me write that a little bit nicer. Change in y over change in x. So I'm just going to take my first two y values. 6 minus 3, and again, I got this from my y value, change in y, over change in x. Let's pick these two values. So 2 minus 1. So 6 minus 3 is just going to be 3, and 2 minus 1 will leave me with 1. So that means 3 divided by 1 is 3. So I have a slope of 3. So what I'm looking for is, does my y value increase by 3 every single time that x increases by 1? Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, so yes, it increases by 3 here, and here, also here, and here. So as x increases by 1 each time, y increases by 3. So yes, this relationship is proportional. If I wanted to write this in words, the way I would represent this relationship is that Diamante, for every 1 hour that passes, he can eat 3 apples. And since this relationship is proportional, for every 2 hours, he'll eat 6 apples, and if 3 hours pass, he'll eat 9 apples. So every hour, the number will increase by 3. All right, let's go ahead and look at unit rate on a graph. So this graph is a little bit fuzzy, but the top of it says chow mein, and the y-axis is talking about serving size, and the x-axis is just talking about servings in general. So what I'm interested in is which of the following describes the unit rate in the graph. Is it 1 and 250, where 250 is the unit rate, 3 and 750, where 3 is the unit rate, 5 and 1250, where 1250 is the unit rate, or 7 and 1750, where 7 is the unit rate? Well, I need to remember what unit rate is. And remember, the unit rate is where x is 1, y is the unit rate. So the first thing I need to do is go ahead and put a dot on the graph where x is 1. Boom. It's 1 at 1 and 250. Remember, this is my x value, this is my y value. So that means that 250 is going to be my unit rate. So I'm going to go ahead and circle answer choice A. Now, if 250 is my unit rate, again, I want to figure out, is this graph proportional? Is servings proportional to serving size? So, if 250 is my unit rate, I can go ahead and find the slope of the line between these two clear points. So, if I go up by 250 and I go over by 1, yes, I still get 250 each time. So, as my servings increase, it's proportional because as x increases by 1, y increases by 250 each time, which is my unit rate. So if I wanted to write this in words, I would go ahead and say that for every 1 serving of chow mein, I will have 250 grams of food. And again, I got those phrases just from looking at the x and y axis. So again, when you're looking at unit rate, look to where x is 1, and wherever x is 1, y is your unit rate. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. Let's go ahead and practice.